Hello, beautiful friends. Let us start with just acknowledging that this is a new world, that this is a new beginning. I was not going to do any events until we come back from China in October, but I had to do this one event in the midst of packing because it's so big, so important. And I just really wanted everyone to know. And I am sure you already know. And we really, as you know, have been going through this incredibly accelerated, successful ascension process. For me and you, this ascension process really started the moment we arrived in these bodies in this lifetime. And maybe we remembered and maybe we didn't, but it's okay. We are now not only remembering, but this is waking up into a whole new world. And it would have never happened without you, and you on this planet. And so what's happening is just so breathtaking. So when I arrived in this world, I already arrived with this equipment that I would call, being able to not only leave the physical body, but also go into these higher realms where there's so much more knowledge and also just so much more guidance. And to be able to go in and out and then come back and bring some knowledge or, whatever it is, guidance and some tasks that needed to be fulfilled. And so the picture is very, very big. The mystery is very, very big. And we have to think truly outside of this physical body and even, of course, outside this physical reality. To just say it how the yogis always, they wanted to achieve cosmic consciousness. So my guide was Yogananda, and I always share some beautiful wisdom and teachings and things I learned from Yogananda from my direct encounters with him. And so I'm just going to put a picture of Yogananda. He's such a sweetheart and he's really important to this ascension process. And so we, as yogis that we are, whether we want to call it yogi, mystic, whatever it is, divine human beings, really, we always had that goal to achieve cosmic consciousness. And we are now actually achieving it. That means that we expand beyond our limitation, and the limitation was our identity, where we identified with the physical body, where we identify with the moment of birth as if like that was our beginning, where we identified with the moment of death as if that was the end. And so we started to identify through the fall from grace with this very limited version of the self. And that was really the misunderstanding that was perpetuated for millions of years. And you would say, you can look at all your ancestors as far as you can go, and it would always be the same. Identification with illusion, illusion of birth, illusion of life, illusion of death, as if that was something separate from the eternal you. And so in this ascension process, we are all of us expanding beyond this illusion of life that was defined by birth and death. And that is what is called cosmic consciousness. Cosmic consciousness is when we first expand beyond the body, which, the yogis and all the mystics found wonderful ways of meditation, breath work, alignment of the body. And all of it was always really a lot of effort to expand beyond the body, to become one with something larger through our different subtle bodies. And so here we have a picture, and the picture is showing us how the human being can expand beyond the body to be one with the planetary body. And so every yogi and mystic first expanded through the subtle bodies to be one with the larger being, which for us was the earth. But then the journey went on, and the expansion would be happening to become one with the solar system that we are part of, and then one with the galactic energy, not the beings, but actually the consciousness of the galaxy, because we belong to the consciousness of the galaxy. And so then the next expansion would be becoming a being through the subtle body who can expand to be one with a universe. And we belong to a universe. There are multiverses. And then the being would go to the next expansion through the many subtle bodies that they have or we have, and that would be the cosmic body. And at the level of the cosmic body, now the being would be one consciously, conscious awareness of all of cosmos and all that is within it. It also means suddenly being part of the universe, part of the galaxy, part of the solar system. And this awareness would be cosmic consciousness, meaning you would really know thyself. And so this is all happening through us now. This is so, so unbelievable. And so, I'm not going to go back to like day one when we started all of this, but I'm going to go at least back to this year that we call 2024, which it obviously is not the year 2024, because, this evolution on planet Earth, it's a very ancient story. And the story goes back to many millions of years of civilizations. And then, of course, many billions of years of evolution of planet Earth. So I'm gonna again mention a little bit Yogananda. We know him as a yogi who, passed away. We would say, in human terms, he died in 1952, but that's not exactly who he is at all. There are cosmic beings who have been in charge of planetary evolution since day one. And what we today call Yogananda, this cosmic being that represented actually Divine Father to be really the representative of Divine Father's energy in this world, was what we call Yogananda. And so that's why he is so involved with the evolution of humanity. And the entire lineage that Yogananda belonged to is incredibly devoted and dedicated to the evolution of humanity from the trap that we have been part of until 2020. What was the trap? We've spoken about this trap. It was the trap of reincarnation. You can think of it as constantly being recycled back into the flesh. And so that trap ended in 2020. And again, it was Yogananda who was in charge of ending this recycling system. So now we are in a new system, and we are in a system that it's called transcendence. It means instead of being reincarnated, which means recycled back into flesh, we will be always ascending, transcending into new embodiment, and the embodiment will not be defined by birth and death. And so this is the incredible, exciting news in this ascension process. So I'm gonna review a little bit of this year alone. And so on January 2nd, I use out-of-body experiences or out-of-body travel that are really controlled through chanting Om, through focusing in the spine, which is a yogic technique. And of course, Yogananda himself practiced out-of-body travel. And he speaks about it in a book which is called The Science of Religion. And in the book, he's just saying, how he practiced out-of-body travel for 18 years. Depending on when he wrote it, but just to give you a perspective that of course the yogis practiced out-of-body travel. And that alone, of course, always gives us a bigger perspective. It is not astral projection, because I would not want to be spending, time in the illusion which the astral sphere was, but out-of-body travel allows you to actually have access to different realms and higher realms and dimensions and bring knowledge back. And so on January 2nd, as I was traveling out of body, I visited what we call the solar worlds. And the solar worlds were very much unchanging and unchangeable worlds. And when I asked Divine Father why our planet is, very different from a solar world, he told me something that really struck me. He was like kind of excited, and he said, well, your world is so changeable. And then I thought about it, like, is it exciting to be part of a changeable world? And I think that you would agree that it might be exciting when you are on a mission where you can be part of the change, to be the bringer of a new world, to bring solutions to a world that maybe needed what you have. And so I want to start with you being here in this world on a mission to be part of a changeable world, and you are the bringer of solutions. to bring the change, to be the change that we want to see. And so all of it now is unfolding, of course, and it is unfolding in a way that is just mind-blowing. And so I'm going to go through a few things that led to this moment. So on the 2nd of the 2nd, 2024, there was a meeting that was really orchestrated by the Hopi Nation. The Hopi Nation today, we understand, it's Native people who live in Arizona, but that is not exactly who the Hopi Nation is. The Hopi Nation is really, it's beings that you might be part of genetically. In cosmic terms, they are star beings who, with many other star beings, entered the Earth originally through these portals. And one of the portals was in the Himalaya. It was the most important portal. And they came as the guardians of planetary evolution. So today, we would call it Native Americans, but that is not at all who these beings are. And so they have this cosmic DNA. And you can find the same DNA in the Tibetan peoples as well. It's all about the rainbow light and many other groups around the world. And so these are the original guardians of the earth. And you could be one of them even if you are in a body that, doesn't physically show, the Hopi DNA or the Tibetan DNA or whatever, the Keros people in Peru DNA. So these are actually cosmic lineages of cosmic DNA of the rainbow light. So there was a gathering on the 2nd of the 2nd, which took place in Arizona, in Sedona. And one of the sites was called Palatki Sedona, which is a Hopi heritage site, and it's called the front door. And then the other group was gathering at the back door at what we today call Honanki. Now, this was the beginning of the biggest cosmic change, and not just on planet Earth, but it would massively affect all life on planet Earth. It was actually an incredible success beyond anything we can possibly imagine. It was the beginning of the end of what we call evil in cosmos, not just on planet Earth. And you can imagine how huge that is. Now, I again made videos about this, but I just want to quickly review the first impulse of this that took place on the 2nd of the 2nd during these gatherings was that instead of having pure nature that we call light and impure nature that we ended up calling evil, these two differentiations started to actually become one. And when they become one in cosmic terms, this one force is called Maha Prakriti. We can call her Tara, we can call her the Great Mother, but also in Christianity, she would be called Mother Mary or the Virgin Mary. So you have to think about nature. From source, from Ishvara, comes what we call cosmic mother nature as the creative force of cosmos. And again, she is the mother of cosmos. And there was like a split within this force through, again, something I explained on other calls, which led to the birth of what we would call good and evil. Now, on 2nd of the 2nd was the first reintegration. That was the first impulse, where these two pure and impure natures would start actually moving into just one. Since sound is what creates, and at the beginning was sound, through sound creation comes into being, then there was just one tone which was off. And this one tone was that which created the impure nature. So on the 2nd of the 2nd, this was reunification into harmony and oneness of all life. This is bigger than, really even the story of the earth, because this goes back, maybe, I'm gonna just in human terms, just so we have an idea, trillions and more years, so it's like beyond even the story of the earth. But it affected life on planet Earth, of course, because this impure nature eventually entered planet Earth during the civilization that we call Mu, and it created what we today would call evil and all the things that were in opposition to life. Now, the opposition to life That meant this force was so lost that it didn't recognize itself as part of oneness. And it looked at the rest of life as if it didn't belong to it. And so it created harm, it created war, it created killing, it created, anything that would abuse the rest of life. You can think on every single aspect of life on planet Earth, and it was infiltrated by this force. The thing is that this harmonization started to happen on the 2nd of the 2nd. That's unbelievable news for humanity. It's unbelievable news for Mother Earth and all her life that will be returning, and we are in the process of that, to harmony and oneness of all life, which are the underlying principles of creation. So we are part of this. So what happened next? Well, I'm going to go back to actually February, because on February 14th, a huge celebration was taking place in Cosmos. And again, for me, it's an out-of-body experience when I get to witness these things. And so I want to say, many people around the world are speaking now about the new Christ, the child Christ, the Krishna baby, the Christ baby, whatever, they are witnessing the same thing. But it really was taking place, which happens to align with what we call, the day when we celebrate love. We call it Valentine's. But it was a cosmic event. In this cosmic event, the big celebration started. It's the second coming of Christ. The Krishna baby, Krishna meaning Christ, was celebrated, and it was the most moving cosmic celebration that I have ever participated in. It was really where all of us just were singing these mantras and celebrating the second coming of Christ. That was part of the prophecy, of course. So then I'm going to skip a few months, go to the big changes that have taken place within us. So on July 12th, we received new DNA. Now you might think, how is that even possible? I'm still in this body. Surely I still have DNA from my mother and all the ancestors and my father and all the ancestors. But actually, because this cosmic creation is like a big science fiction, really anything is possible. So on July 12th, we received new DNA, which this new DNA, people call it DNA activation, but it's not something that someone can do for you, that they would charge money for, which I know people have done in the past. But it's just something that happens as a cosmic intervention. And so this cosmic intervention took place on July 12th. And what it meant is that we received a new field, not just what you would call DNA inside of our cells, but this is a field of cosmic DNA. This field looks very similar to what you see here. It's really shimmering light. It actually has crystalline energy, so I was able to see it in the detail. The energy is as if you took the tips of quartz crystal, tiny little quartz crystals, and so it's a field that is not only within the body, but it's so much more also around the body. And so the way that I see it, that we became walking fields of solutions. This DNA is completely different from anything we had until now, and with that we received new senses. So if you follow Patricia Cota Robles, which I know many of you do, she's been speaking about these new senses. So through this new DNA, we now have new senses. So people are seeing much more. They hear, these subtle sounds from cosmos, from the ethers. People are so much more awakening. There are new taste buds, new senses for touch. All of it, new hearing, new smelling, all of it is new through this new DNA. So that's huge. We are no longer the old self that was actually, I would say, a slave to the old system. Now there is this new DNA, and this new DNA also is plugged like a field into the new planetary grid, because the new planetary grid was activated fully and completely on August 14th. Some of you maybe, watched the World Congress on Illumination. Some of you came in person. But on August 14th, this was a completion. It was a huge breakthrough in absolutely everything. But before I get to the details about August 14th, I want to say that within this earth, we've always had forces, some of them planetary, but some of them cosmic, that we as humans refer to as dragon energy, dragon lines. And some of the major dragon lines in this earth and in the ancient soils of the earth had to be activated so that the planetary grid could be fully healed in August. And so a major healing took place actually on the Hopi land with the dragon energy on July 20th. Now, again, for some people it sounds a little bit like it's all fairy tale and a little bit of fantasy, but these are very important shifts that prepared the earth for something so huge. And it was the fall of the forces of darkness that had so many levels, so many hierarchies. It's just like I compare it to what we had the forces of light, so many hierarchies of different angels, archangels, and so on, of forces of light. So the forces of darkness had exactly the same. And it was their fall and really the end of the forces of darkness and their influence, not only on planet Earth, but any other world that they infiltrated. So again, this is so huge, and the transformation of all life. So on August 14th, during the World Congress on Illumination, all life was transformed and upgraded. Every molecule of life was upgraded and transformed. The planetary grid and all life on planet Earth was upgraded. One thing that I got to witness as well, that on August 14th, and I don't have too many memories of Atlantis, but my big memory bank is the civilization that we call Mu, but also before. So when life started to enter here, and then some of it Atlantis, but not much, just really the end of it. And so on August 14th, what I was able to witness was something that really puzzled me. I saw 13 families of Atlantis coming together and making peace with each other. And I was told that 13 families of Atlantis were represented by the 13 crystal skulls. And I just wrote down here that it was about certain initiation and activation of humanity will happen when these 13 crystal skulls come together in a cosmic uncovering. And that happened on August 14th. And it was peace for these families that we are part of. It was really 13 different genetic lines on planet Earth, 13 cosmic DNA types. And so all of this took place on August 14th. The Earth received new DNA herself, which is also visible within the Earth. The Earth is now being prepared for more solar light and merging with her solar light body. And this is also fascinating. So again, I got to see this on August 14th. For example, Yogananda described our galaxy as imperfect. He taught that there are 3 types of galaxies in this universe. Galaxies that are purely light and purely perfect. Then he said there are also galaxies that are very dark and very imperfect. And then there are galaxies somewhere in between. And he said our galaxy is the one in between. Has light, but also darkness. And he was really speaking about darkness as the forces of evil. So these kind of imperfections of unconsciousness. But on August 14th, there was a massive correction within our DNA and within the planetary DNA and within the structure of our galaxy. The arm of the galaxy that we are part of suddenly became realigned with the flow of galactic light. So we are now receiving actually light from the galactic core like never before. Now, if you follow Patricia Cota Robles, she sent a wonderful email yesterday saying, how we have a new place, not only within the galaxy, but also within the universe. And so the light of the universe flows through the light of the galaxy and the universe and cosmos flow through our solar system. So this is all what happened in August. And why I really wanted to do this call is to also share what happened yesterday. So yesterday for us here, it was September 1st, and there was a huge, maybe gathering, but also in a way a graduation in cosmos, in these higher realms that took place. And the Maha Prakriti was fully revealed. Now, if you remember from the slide before, Maha Prakriti is really the cosmic mother nature. She is the great mother, and she was revealed in cosmos in a way that she became visible just like this. My daughter helped me to create these graphics. You could see all sky in the entire cosmos as light blue light with element of white. And all the stars around represent beings. Fundamentally, the blueprint of creation is that we all are stars. We all are light beings that shine. Some shine a lot, some shine a little less, but everybody's a shining star. The forces of darkness, they figured out a way for themselves to actually kind of block the light. They just blocked the light. And from what I've seen in cosmos, no one can block the light eternally. It's actually impossible. So it's always better to open up to the light and let it in, and then let it shine. That's basically how it works. And so yesterday there was this incredible revelation of the Divine Mother, and she really looked very similar to what we see here. And she was across the entire cosmos. So again, Maha Prakriti as the Great Mother. And we created one more imagery here with my daughter. And so again, the cosmic mother nature. You see here that the origin of the word nature, you can say na tu re. Now, why is this important? Is because of what happened last night. So since this cosmic mother nature was fully really revealed to us, that this is the return of the mother, this is the return of the goddess, but it also is the return of cosmic consciousness. So you see this, the circle is closing, because this entire ascension process is really the return of this world and all other worlds that experience this transformation that we call ascension, but we'll focus on this world, to cosmic mother nature, to cosmic consciousness. This is the end of illusion. This is the end of, as we spoke about, reincarnation, being recycled into the flesh. This is the new transcendence. This is the new way for us of being in embodiment, in transcendence, in ascension, in evolution. So evolution is a really important element of creation, and it evolves on a spiral, always into more of itself. And so this is the return of the goddess spiral. Now, when I started to meet Divine Mother, for me it started really physically in 2017. But it's taking on always like a bigger expression of itself. And so finally, it's like seeing the mother completely like this, physically, as the mother of cosmos, Maha Prakriti, the one unified cosmic mother nature. Nature became just something that here in this world, we would say, it's so nice, let's take vacation, let's go to the beach, let's walk through the woods, climb a mountain. And so nature became like something that we spend time in because it's nice. And some people even would say, I'm not a person who likes nature, I like to just sit at home or sit in the office. And that was really the fallen unconsciousness, fallen from the goddess, fallen from the mother, because we are to be cosmic in our consciousness, which means we are constantly being evolved through cosmic consciousness, through the mother, through what we call life force, through what we call prana, through what we call chi. You see, it's all the same stuff everywhere in all the mystical traditions, but now is the breakthrough. This is the biggest breakthrough that we experience in many millions of years. So let's just acknowledge many millions of years. So what happened last night? Last night, September 2nd, it was the return of our cosmic mother nature and I get to experience these things audibly and visibly in higher realms, and so I always want to translate it into some imagery and into the sounds here. So in ancient Egypt, which really, we think about these ancient Egyptian gods as if they were people, but they were not people. They were also not gods. They were actually beings that represented nature. And in ancient Egypt, which came after the fall of Atlantis, but also during Atlantis, they were called Neheru. And that's where the word nature originates from. Neteru were gods who represent aspects of nature. And so last night was the big revelation of the Neteru. Neteru as the forces of nature. Now, this is so incredible because, of course, like in Egypt, we start to think of them like Isis and Osiris and these gods, but actually Is was the sound of the goddess of nature in ancient Egypt. And for example, if you read The Second Coming of Christ by Yogananda, he speaks about how the real name of Jesus was not Yeshua, it was not Jesus, and it was not Jesus, but it was actually Issa. Now, this is a fantastic, exercise in imagination, because Is was the cosmic mother nature for the Egyptians, and we in English call her Isis. And so Issa was the son of the cosmic mother nature as Christ consciousness. And so again, all of this will be revealed through our consciousness, and we will have completely new but also ancient information about all of this. And so these Neteru were also known as the Hindu gods. Again, this is definitely not some Hindu gods and Egyptian gods. These are forces of nature. Neteru. These are really identifications and individualized forces of nature that can be seen as the Hindu gods, that can be seen as Egyptian gods. And actually, because everything evolves on the spiral of evolution, so when we have our clairvoyant sight, we actually do see these forces as these physical representations, and we see them spiraling out from source in cosmos and in universe, and we see them in these bodies. We see them with these faces. So last night also we received a lot of information. Sorry, this is a double sign. We received a lot of information about the 5 elements of life. And you know that not only on planet Earth, but within cosmos, we have the 5 creative principles, the 5 elements as actually super, super large conscious beings. And we call them the element of air, fire, water, ether. But here on planet Earth, we call it Earth, but that's a misunderstanding because it is the element of the minerals. So these 5 elements combined create creation in cosmos. So depending on which planet you go to, it might have more of one of the elements. And so in higher realms, our planet Earth is not called planet Earth, but they call our planet Ma, Ra, Va, Ti. And so Ma, even though some mystics and some yogis said that Ma means something else, but actually in cosmos, Ma represents the element of water. Now, the element of water, I always say that, our babies here, when we are born from the womb and we come from the element of water, the first sounds we usually make is Ma, Ma. And that is because we heard the subtle vibration of water, and the subtle vibration of water is Ma. So it's not that someone named it that, it's actually the subtle vibration, it's the vibratory sound of the element itself. And so we are part of Ma, which is water, Ra, which is the sun, which is fire, which is the element that we know as the sun, fire, Va, which is the element of air, and then Ti means that we are part of the divine feminine creation. So what we call Mother Earth is really Maravati, the mother, with all these elements. So last night, there's a lot of revelation going on in the ethers, all about the 5 elements, the Neteru as the forces of nature. And so we are again returning to some really powerful mantras that I would recommend singing and chanting just to align with this real mystery that it's unfolding here. And that is, for example, Na, Ma, Shi, Va, Ya. Again, a lot of people, things got lost in translation within all religions. So we have to accept that within the illusion, it was really hard to truly know the truth because it was blocked. And so we kept repeating a lot of things through religions and many different philosophies and teachings and traditions. But simply, we didn't have access to the true meaning behind a lot of things. And so Namah Shivaya is actually the 5 elements. Na being the element of minerals. Ma is the element of water. Shi is the element of fire. Va is the element of air. And Ya is the element of ether. So all of this will be important to us once again as we move forward. There is one thing that will happen as part of this ascension process, and it will be this year on 11/11. It will be a huge sealing off. The way that I see it is like, when you have the stamp, this, beautiful stamp you put as a seal on an envelope to close a chapter. And this chapter will be closing on 11/11 this year, and a new beginning. It always comes with our December solstice. I have seen Ascension and experienced Ascension myself several times. And from what I can tell, Ascension energies have always been known to come during the December solstice. Which year? I don't think we know, but we know for sure that December solstice allows for something magnificent to happen. For some of you, it's, in the northern hemisphere, winter solstice. For some of you, it's the summer solstice in the southern hemisphere, but it is December solstice. And so the final stamp will be given on 11/11, and it will happen at a very specific location, and it will be at the Grand Canyon in Arizona. Now, why the Grand Canyon? That's, the Hopi people, back to that. The Grand Canyon was part of the Hopi land. And again, in the higher realms, the Hopi people are not even called Hopi people, but they do have a specific sound. And the sound, again, everything is about sound. Sound creates. And so just like we said, for example, water has the subtle vibration of Ma. So this genetic lineage, which is a genetic lineage of star people, has the sound of Ho-Pi. And so the Ho-Pi people that have been part of every civilization on planet Earth as the guardians, Patricia speaks about these beings as really the evolutions of the Earth. And there's many different groups around the world, of course. It's not just the Hopi people. So they remember when Atlantis ended. And when Atlantis ended, through many incredible, what we would call fantastic things, the next world was birthed from the Grand Canyon. Because there are a lot of worlds in this world that are not visible to everyone, and we can call them 2 different things: inner Earth, but also hollow Earth. But we also have worlds that are in the ethers of the Earth. So there's a lot of magic and mystery around here. And so they emerged. They call it the place of emergence in the Grand Canyon. But that was after the fall of Atlantis. And so Atlantis fell because of those forces that we would call evil that infiltrated the consciousness, but also the physical body of the human being. And so the emergence was not clean. It was not that Atlantis, when it sunk, that it was the perfect, clean world. Unfortunately, it was not clean. And so the virus of what we call this, other force, it came with the new emergence. And so even though we started a new world and we are now in that world, the world obviously was also infected with this virus that we call evil. So on 11/11/2024, that will be the final sealing and a new beginning for the Earth. Now, this is all so fantastic. What is changing, of course, is the physical body, as we mentioned on the calls previously. So just know, like, I've been coughing since June 20th, which was really summer solstice for us. And to me, the cough is obviously not a physical cough. It's just our bodies changing and adjusting to this new life force, to these new molecules that we now have. Everything in this physical body has to change. We are now being changed. We are being changed. And what's changing is one thing that many people didn't know. It is the physical body. People are dizzy and all of it, and I spoke quite a bit about like the big change that happened in 2020 that on the outside looked, a certain way, but Yogananda always guided us, and he said it will look a certain way, but what's really happening is that the human genome is being purified. So the human genome is being purified. Patricia recommended that if we have these physical symptoms, that we watch the videos from the World Congress on Elimination and just really soak it in. I'm doing a lot of Qigong. I highly, yeah, the ear tones is the new senses, So all of it is the transformation of all life. So how will life be after this transformation and ascension is complete? I'm going to speak about it a little bit and then we'll close in about 15 minutes, so on top of the hour. So, like I said, the mystery is really big, and sometimes it's really even hard to imagine the true divine reality, because we've been living in this very limited version of something that we call reality for so long. And I will post the videos from last week as well. And so, we have to really open the mind, open the senses, open our hearts to what is to come and how different the world actually truly is when it is in its own divine reality. It is a bit of a science fiction. It really is. But a few things I wanted to share about the new world. So I got to visit the new world several times, and I mentioned before that time simply behaves very differently in the divine reality. So things like time travel is possible, and a lot of people experience it. And in the time travel, we notice some things, that there are different timelines. To me, they are options of what is possible, depending on our daily actions, decisions, choices, depending on our thoughts, depending on our feelings, depending on our words. And so we are the creators of these options. The world will always be a reflection of us. If it was just, conscious people and fully awake people, the world will be fully awake and fully conscious too, now that everything has been liberated. And so think of everything as a reflection on a personal level, but also a collective level. For example, in the lineage of Yogananda, we speak about Babaji, Baba meaning the father, so Babaji being the beloved father, again a reflection of Divine Father, whose goal was to stay behind in some kind of embodiment here on planet Earth, not incarnated, but embodied. And he always wanted to make sure that every single being on this planet makes the shift of the ages. And we are now in the shift of the ages. Why every single being? Well, it's because we are part of a collective. So the way that I see it, let's say you have 99% of people who are the good apples, but then you have one bad apple, one troublemaker, and even one troublemaker will make the collective incoherent to some degree. Isn't that true? And so ideally, we all want to be coherent so that we have 100% collective coherence. But again, Where we start is always with our own being. So we have been living in a reality that was massively manipulated, and not all things were up to us, even though, of course, we say we have free will, but I actually question how much free will we really did have. But now we do. And so, in cosmic terms, this mirror is actually created by quantum particles. We live in a quantum reality. And so all becomes reflected back to us with a slight delay, usually. But for those who are very clean and very clear, it can be miraculous, we call it, which is instantaneous. So miracles will become part of our divine nature. It means there is no need for delay. But this world still is, out here, when you look at it, a reflection of all the unconsciousness that was really the poison in our bodies and our minds, our emotions, our words, and our actions. So what we see on the outside is just the result. We are always just looking at the result and a reflection. So not to be overwhelmed by it is the key. I don't know how long it will take to dissolve all that you see on the outside now, but it originates again within us. And we now have to remember that we are the masters of this quantum field, and that the quantum field is listening to us in every moment, offering a reflection back, saying, here I am, always as a reflection. And so we have had a few tools. Patricia speaks about the violet flame. Yogananda taught me the living fire of God. It was golden fire, but every single day purifying our field is essential. But of course also, since we are part of the collective, and one bad apple will poison the collective, one troublemaker will make us incoherent. So it is in our best interest as a collective to also dedicate some time every day to the harmonization of our collective through whatever tools you have, the violet flame, blazing it around the earth, blazing it around yourself, being the force of this living fire of God, of your divine self. And everywhere you go, bring it with you. Now, reality is always created as a reflection of our consciousness. That means we consciously can be creating the reality that is to eventually be reflected onto us. Now, this is when I want to speak about the new earth. The new earth, to me, this is the new earth, means she's beautifully surrounded by all the light that we call the rainbow light. And all the beings here are part of this rainbow light. It means we are conscious, and all consciousness is love, is what we call beauty, is harmony, and then it is reflected back to us. And this is the process of creation. But there is one really wonderful shortcut as we move into this new earth, and that is living in 100% gratitude. That leads to the experience of miracles. So this is the new earth way. The new earth way is a different way from what we've had until now. It is a fully heart-opened way of being in complete gratitude. In the past, it was hard to be grateful for some of the things that happen in this world, especially when we call it suffering and pain and loss and who knows what. But we are emerging from the old world. So now the more we can live in gratitude, the more we are in the flow of our Divine Mother. And our Divine Mother is now as real and more real than our biological mother. And she is a good, loving mother. And she is the mother of blessings and miracles. And she will be blessing all her children who live in gratitude, because that is her language. The language is gratitude. So if we want to experience miracles leading us into the new earth, it is so simple. Living in gratitude and seeing the synchronicities and the magnification of her blessings. she then will be operating differently through us. You know, the new operating system is love, and it's just beyond any romantic idea. But the new operating system is that we have different hearts. The Hopi people always knew that something happened to our hearts, that actually not only did we shut our hearts, but also the hearts were shut. And so we ended up with diminished hearts. The Hopi people then called it impure hearts. And it was the result of all that we saw here in this world that we would call unacceptable. But now we are returning to pure hearts. It means pure hearts, all of us who live in gratitude. And then the magic and mystery happens through the pure heart. And so when we go moment by moment or moment to moment in love and gratitude, suddenly this new energy of this cosmic mother nature can flow through our hearts. And because everything's a mirror and everything's in a quantum field of reflection, then only miracles that are synchronicities, they are truly the aha moment. It's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening. Everything is aligned. Then we are always on the path of love. And I've seen the new earth several times. I went there, I talked to the beings who already live there, and they all naturally are only guided by love. And because they all have their open, pure hearts, they only make loving decisions, not through their mind, but always through the heart. So when they said, listen to your heart, it was not so easy here in this world, but actually that's what the beings do on the new earth. And we are those beings. It is not hard at all with the new earth energies to be always guided by love. And so then love becomes truly the creative force of these miracles. And so now you can pay attention to what happens when you live in gratitude. How many synchronicities you will be seeing, and acknowledge them. They will be so mind-blowing because Divine Mother has so much joy in blessing her children. It gives her joy, like imagine yourself as a parent, and when you bless your children and when you see their incredible gratitude and then they keep being grateful, it's just like perpetuating harmony, perpetuating beauty, perpetuating miraculous living. And that is what's really happening here now. So the way that Divine Mother taught me one thing, which is a trick that I actually use every day. She said, okay, you live in a quantum field, and this quantum field still is here the way it is. We can call our quantum field right now still the result of the past, so maybe not so clean. We can use the violet flame, we can use the living fire of God. I use both, but she said, chant your ohms. So she said every ohm, whether it is OM or AUM, it doesn't matter at all. She said the sound matters, the frequency matters. She says just chant your ohms every day, and the quantum field around you instantaneously becomes perfect. She showed me the quantum field, so I chanted my ohms, and this was in 2020 when she showed me, and I have not stopped chanting the ohms. I only do usually 3 ohms a day. That's it. I start the day with Om, because even if you don't see it, everything around you has to become divine perfection. And so if I do more, I do it if I need it. If I feel like it, I do it. But every day, 3 ohms for sure. And so start your day with 3 ohms and then see what happens around you. And if you need to change a situation in your life, don't try to change it with a hammer and a chisel, change it with Om. Yes, Gurgur. Nice to see you in higher realms. 2 nights ago. So Yogananda said that when you chant Om, you create harmony. Well, why? Because the quantum field becomes harmonious. And so it is. And so I'm going to end with a little video, Daily Strength from Yogananda, that is now on YouTube, and you can gain amazing transmission from this. Daily Strength from our beloved Yogananda. He's incredibly active in the consciousness of so many, you know, as a reflection of Divine Father and being part of the original impulse of life, of course. I say you cannot go wrong with actually listening and learning from Yogananda. And so, Jai Guru, here we end with this video. So thank you so much. And I wanted to mention, if you are interested, I'll be doing online retreat. It will be an intensive, October 3rd to 7th, and it will be dedicated to that which is needed, which will be physical transformation. And registration for this will open when I come back in China, so in October. But just so that you know, it will be happening October 3rd and 7th. And so now let us end with Yogananda. And recording of this will be on YouTube as well. Thank you.
You must never lose courage. Divine Mother sent me to pilot you out of the clouds of your mind. Everybody's difficulty is different, and he or she has to win that test of karma and Divine Mother. Overcome all by constant inward calling on God and utmost devotion in words, thoughts, action, and obedience to Guru. God does not talk readily to the devotee, but a guru does. And the easiest way out of all difficulties is to listen to him and obey him. Your troubles I do not mind. I will never give up my job about you. It is better to conquer evil and not go on living with it forever. Never for a moment identify yourself with momentary flashes of error. Have no fear, even when I'm gone and no longer visible in your eyes. You will never be alone. I may not scold you then, but I shall ever be with you, and through Divine Mother, guard you from all harm, and will constantly whisper to you guidance through your loving self. So do not make life discouraged and tired, but be ever interested in doing for Divine Mother, no matter if war, sickness, and death dance around you. That is the secret of victory over delusion and all troubles. Be cut to pieces, but never give up. Be a divine leech. Suck at the blood of wisdom even though torn to bits. A smooth life is not a victorious life. And I will give you lots of good karma so you will get through. I will not only ever forgive you, but ever lift you up no matter how many times you fall. Keep unceasingly trying to conquer, then not only will I invisibly help you, but visibly through many here, all of whom know your inner self and love you very deeply. They all know what I think of your spiritual qualities. It is in kindness and continuous good behavior that you shine with happiness. Divine Mother will help you to win through your own efforts and the blessings of the great gurus. I am not building a mansion for you or giving you riches that will perish, but I am making an imperishable home with all riches for you in my Divine Mother's mansion. Unceasing blessings. Paramahansa Yogananda.